right now. So actually nothing much, nothing bad happened to me. In a way I was correct, in a way I was wrong. I'm using this trail. I used one before 2022, big time upon my return from Poland and after, during and after construction of this trail. The construction, the heavy construction of the trail started in 2022. Okay, in 2022 it was the construction that went on. So that transition between paved asphalt with the lights, with the public lighting, etc., etc. I guess I lost sense of time sense for the time for that purpose, for that matter. And I've confused that with I don't know, 2022, 2000, end of 2022, 2023 with 2024, whatever it is. End of the 2022, then 2023, and beginning of 2024, and I don't know if this stuff was really open in 2024. I don't know. But so, nothing really happened to me. I found video recordings, everything is fine. Gentlemen, however, might also be correct. It might have opened in 2024. I still don't know precisely about when they paved the road, finalized one. It was for a long time that this road was not even completed and so on. It was a project in development. So, a gentleman admitted involvement in MK Ultra. That's very important. He is from Žihovo Selo area, not too far from here. He was involved in MK Ultra case for a very long time. He also identified, once I brought on the picture, Milan Kucan, Robert Golob, police crime, in respect to mental illness. Psychiatrist Peter Kapsch was in charged with to prove one. I don't know how many people remember Rachel Maddow. There was some movie, she discussed the issue about you're guilty of the crime you have not committed, but you will. With the animals like those we have in Slovenia, things are such that I was guilty of mental illness for 53 years. And that's not that I would be mentally ill, but literally guilty of one. Not that I would be mentally ill, not that I would cause anybody any kind of trouble, not that I would cause anybody absolutely anything, but police, Slovenian state, Slovenian nation was obsessed with the idea to prove me wrong since my birth. During still what used to be Yugoslavia, and were developing, based on Josip Broz Tito program, Milan Kucan, Slobodan Milošević, Karadzic, Mladic, all these beautiful people that ended up inside of the Hague, international criminals, at least a mental illness case, if not capable to kill me somehow. And one of the issues that stimulated psychiatrist Peter Kapsch, that propelled psychiatrist Peter Kapsch with hope to prove that something is wrong with me, next to destruction, vandalizing of my property, used during MK Ultra for the evaluation purposes through AliExpress, through Alibaba, through Future Temu, was also a play with locations in vicinity of the Novo Mesto city, actually in vicinity of the area for which they were certain I would use on a daily basis to commute myself through. So, I'm sure you have heard for the product testers, the people that evaluate products, and this is what's happening with Alibaba, with AliExpress, with all this Chinese industry, and Western investors into Chinese manufacturing industry, potential markets, anywhere from Africa, Asia, South America, Northern America, Australia, all of you, Asia, everyone, every continent, intercontinentally, to evaluate the merchandise before the official release to see whether one is suitable and moreover what exactly to price the merchandise. You know, to see how much people are satisfied what this merchandise is capable. In other words, worthy, so that you would not go and overprice, etc., etc. This is the stuff I was involved in, relationship between investors and also extermination procedure which applied to me. To me applied extermination procedure. They were not interested in evaluation. They were interested in shoes that were 2 numbers smaller or more, 2 or 3 numbers smaller than my feet, to cause as much injury as possible, and for which they knew they will brand them, market them at the lowest cost in the future through Alibaba, AliExpress, Temu. You understand? Low-cost shoes based on not a restricted income, but totally without income, with a predisposition of approaching to the state employment office, where if I would inquire for assistance, do job search, not only inquire about financial assistance, but do job search, assistance for the job search, psychiatric hospitalization was guaranteed to me based on the psychiatric hospitalization which finally took place after 38 years of MK Ultra lynching in 2012. That's what we are talking about. This is the stuff we are talking about. Destruction of the private property, cables, anything low cost, not a restricted income, but what police knew, I will be simply raped. Rape is a rape. Raped to purchase through zero income. Shoes, cables, you fucking name it. Everything. Clothing, absolutely everything. The same way as a police play, vandalized, engaged in psychosis. Psychosis is extremely, extremely bad word. If you go to a psychiatrist and he labels you with a psychosis problem, it's a very big problem you have. However, if your name is Ausetz Bostian, that's myself, Sebastian, Bob Auser, whatever you want to call this, Auser Times, and he labels you with attempt to cause through the torture psychosis, that's a very, very, very bad news for you as a police officer, for you as a psychiatrist, for you as a nurse, for you as a state prosecutor, for you as a Slovenian politician. Playing with a mental illness is not a thing to do. People are killed inside of the psychiatric hospitals. It's a well-known, well-established Soviet ethnic cleansing platform. Marxist platform,
as they labeled one in the United States of America. They are correct, not because only would be a communist that would use one, but at least because they admitted that one exists. The other side did never admit it, that psychiatry is being used for ethnic cleansing, for the genocide. That's too bad for the communist side. I should say Eastern European side. Don't do to others. You don't want others do to you. Psychiatrist Peter Kapsch let me no less than 53 years of life. He failed in proving something. He was certain with the Slovenian police, with the Slovenian parliament, since the time of the Josip Broz Tito, Yugoslavia, will exist at one point in time. But he did succeed in destroying me 53 years. He succeeded in killing me. He threatened me against using this language and insisted, talking about the psychiatrist Kapsch, talking about the Novo Mesto investigators, in case I will claim they killed me, they eventually will kill me. Those are the death threats used inside of this home, inside of this house. Whoever, if you did audio recorded this stuff, that stuff that went on during MK Ultra, you might note the stuff that I mentioned right now. In exactly the same fashion as to merchandise they anticipated with will use to present me with on a prior psychotic, sadistic destruction, torture with a zero income in the future, labeled as mentally ill. They have anticipated would use also allocations in an area, just as I stated, in vicinity, in the area for which they established I will be moving, maybe even on a daily basis, and have matched them with already completed similar ambient, similar environment. So if you would look the ambient, if you look the area, the structures, the houses, the fields, the forests, roads, etc., would remind somewhat on the future projects in the area of the Novo Mesto. They're basically the area for which they were certain I'm going to move through on a daily basis. Found those projects already as completed abroad in other countries, also within Slovenia. In case of the road, I have discussed with the gentleman, and what I already video recorded and audio recorded, all that stuff. That stuff I have completed already in 2023, I guarantee you, not 2024. 2024, if it was asphalt, then it was in 2024, but I still think it was in 2023. In the area of Bucharest in Romania, for which gentleman who was involved very long time in it, in this case, also indicated he is familiarized with Andrew Tate. Consider him as his personal friend. Andrew Tate, just as I stated, visited Novo Mesto, visited Slovenia, associated with the people, just as I have written about on the blog, about present director Igor Juršić of the Novo Mesto, a criminal who was asking Andrew Tate for advice on how to do a fight, how to fight. Andrew Tate provided advice, the fight advice here for the kids in the Novo Mesto, tutored them, those involved on how to, etc., etc. With this gentleman right here, not interested in that kind of stuff. This is more of an intellectual individual. This one was not interested in, not that I would know that he would be involved in any kind of physical violence. This was a man that was more reserved than anything else, and participated without having the ability to change any course of this case. It was violent thugs all around, with him not being as one of them, but in a way he feared them because he had to. He had to comply. Simple as this. He recognized not only Andrew Tate, but indicated me existence of the case of MK Ultra, gave me green light for it. He, in a way, tried to associate it himself with others, etc., etc. Well, no other way to go. I am really thankful to him that he did stop by, that he gave me such a frank conversation. Not only indicated existence of MK Ultra, but the good knowledge of similar areas to this one in Slovenia. We're talking about a new trail behind the village, the trail from Krka village to Žihovo Selo. It's called the Žihovo Selo. It's also a village. That's the trail where we were discussing about, among other issues, involvement of the project which did not exist anywhere in the picture. This finally came, as he stated. Most likely he was right in 2024. I'm kind of assured that he did this asphalt that might have been already in 2023, but I'm not going to say anything. He is a native here, right there, and he is more familiarized with that road than myself because I am doing completely other stuff. I am investigating MK Ultra, and of my interest, of my greater interest than when this road was finalized, was just as in the case of, let's say, company located at Graben, 500 meters away from our house, where I did this video on a stream, a little bridge in Graben. That very beautiful video, that state-of-the-art video. A company climbed to existence, sometimes, I don't know, in 2021 or 2022, I don't know. Doesn't matter really. For which Robert Golob indicated is searching a place to psychiatrist Peter Kapsch in 1998 is searching for exactly what came to existence finally in 2021-2022. You understand? Finally. Therefore, a project for which they knew it's going to come to existence sometimes in the future, the area or project in development, indifferent from the, let's say, as an example, the road behind our village, they would scan the similar relief, I don't know how you say that improperly in English, but, you know, area for the similarities, landscape, I should say, similarities, and then match one with areas where those already were completed. To convince, during MK Ultra, through the brainwash, through the violence, using even three-dimensional Googles, to convince me that projects already existed. The projects which nowhere near existed and yet would come to existence in sometimes in the future, therefore in the area where I live. This is the stuff that went on during MK Ultra. I don't know how they do it because that stuff is so easily done. The structure at Graben, Agroma company is the name. Agroma was purchased from Kmetijska Zadruga. Was found in Austria and in Italy, literally with the people from Austria and Italy that visited our house in Novo Mesto, convincing me on existence of one far back already. I don't even know what year was it, 2008 or whatever. I'd have to go and see what I wrote over there. Way back in time. Way back before one appeared anywhere in reality, finally in 2021, 22, and exercise also a Mount Everest of torture at those facilities that looked very similar structures, buildings, with landscape as to the one that came to existence here in the Novo Mesto and Graben. This is the specialty of Slovenian police, as the psychiatrist Peter Kapsch. This grandeur knowledge, which is not really, he knew that he will fail. He knew that he does not stand a chance. He knew, with police included, with everybody, they all knew. In my case, they already failed in 2018, just as I indicated. This recording goes to December the 26th of 2024. And as I'm giving you this audio and video, it's March the 30th of 2025. They knew they don't have a chance, any kind of chance. Yeah, but in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, despite overwhelming proofs and even disagreements Illuminatis have with one another, it was established that due to necessity of the war in Ukraine, this case still might not be stopped. Eventually, that must not be stopped. So he wasn't doing this because he felt he has a chance to prove me I'm mentally ill, but he was doing this kind of stuff to burn me my life, to get me killed, just as I stated earlier. With the police, he twisted, stretched, lied, stalked with the sirens, engaged in violence outside, inside of the house, hoped for the worst to happen some way, maybe trespass to father, get me arrested, get me some way, somehow killed. We're talking about animals here. Obviously, we're not talking about the people here. What a case like this would do for a psychiatrist, if he would not meet someone like myself, would give one the ability to use his victim to prove that something is wrong with one. Once the victim would come with the claims, with the wrong claims, as if, due to amount of abuse, maybe develop impression in him, a real mental illness, through which individual would make a statement that something existed somewhere that did not exist. And in the case of MK Ultra, that would not be classified as mental illness. Absolutely not. Under terms that individual would be investigating the project. If individual would not be investigating the project, therefore if he was not being pushed, forced over the edge like I was, and then that would not be okay for the person. Still, you would not endanger anybody's life if you would come with whatever statement, argument, whatever. Still, this is how psychiatrists get, obviously, proofs about mental illness. I am not going to say against MK Ultra victims, because this is totally evident, and I am going to stop here because I simply do not know. I have seen what mental illness is. I tested one when I was a child, when I had a mentally ill child attacking me, assaulting me, the child whom I had defended assaulting me, attacking me, for mistaking me with the children that were attacking him, assaulting him. I am not here to judge mental illness because I don't know enough about it. It exists. It absolutely exists. Is it only human induced? I do not know enough about to give you professional assessment of how far the mental illness, what type of mental illness as far as due to overwhelming crime against me. You understand? I cannot. From my perspective, it's difficult to assess unless you know the person's life since the childhood, whether the person, there's something really wrong with that person, or was it actually done something to the person. Remember, I told you about the electroshocks they were playing with when I was a baby. Very difficult to discern about the stuff that is done to people. Nobody ever countered psychiatry. Nobody ever stood up and exposed one for what it is. And therefore, it's very impossible for me to go past people who are subjected to bestiality such as this MK Ultra. Because people do not do this. It is simple as this. Back to the audio. This man, extremely familiarized with my case, indicated a good knowledge of a relief landscape of this portion of this trail that stretches through the forest. In other parts of Slovenia, for which, however, he stated to me there are no light fixtures, it's not lightning anywhere, and declined that something like this would, obviously, that he have witnessed whatever. But his talk clearly indicates that a deep knowledge, familiarized with what went on. I can tell that he did participate on locations for which he suggested are similar to this one. And I will also end this talk of mine simply with recalling people eventually even placing light fixtures along the areas that did not have lightning. He mentioned me that there is no lights in other parts of Slovenia. That road somewhat reminds of this one, of this new trail that came to existence, as he stated, in 2024. I remember the people that were standing on ladders, placing the stuff, lights, etc., light fixtures and so on, convincing that in fact it exists. So very, very similar crime, a very similar type of crime to what went on with destruction of cables and all other issues I mentioned throughout my blog, with also areas that Slovenian state have used to prove that something is wrong with me, that I see things that do not exist through, if I recall, Milan Kučan, who gave the order to the drivers of Viator Vector Company, transportation company, Slovenian transportation, so-called Viator Vector, order to scan entire Europe for irregularities, strange road signs, closures, detours, so that he could use them, match them, or even match them with the area of the city of the Novo Mesto. They were involved heavily from Viator Vector and also other transportation companies in this case. And people involved in this stuff, drivers, they scan this area also for similarities and so on. They employed entire Slovenia in this crime to prove that something is wrong with me. I found myself in Slovakia, I found myself in Austria, in Italy, throughout Slovenia, in Bosnia, in Croatia, imitating me, similarities with the future construction structures for which they anticipated they would prove something wrong with me. I found myself at the bridge. Teška voda bridge. It's called Teška voda. Teška voda bridge in Novo Mesto city, bordering Krka River bridge. Krka River, not Krka River bridge, but what became Krka River bridge, right next to the old hospital. Observing what finally was realized, what finally was completed in 2024. That's basically a new bridge across the Krka River, a metal structure they placed across the Krka River right next to that Teška voda bridge, right next to the hospital. I observed this bridge, whatever fucking bridge they had in mind, as far as in 1998. With my own eyes I observed one when one did not exist. Through the Googles, through the three-dimensional Googles, with the police, with the ultra-violence practically in the center of the Novo Mesto city, with people not interfering, not taking action against Slovenian scum that continued the legacy of Josip Broz Tito through assistance of Central Intelligence Agency, which abducted me from Miami to Slovenia. It was the time when Milan Kučan claimed that I will be killed due to my departure to United States of America, because for him the biggest proof about the schizophrenia, about the paranoia, was hijacking, abductions, human trafficking from United States of America to Europe. To him, the CIA ability to hijack me through FBI to Slovenia at this Illuminati meetings was the biggest proof that something is wrong with me. In other words, your word against our word, your word against institutions, your word of incredible, likely incredible, against the regular psychiatric labeling. Three-dimensional Googles were used at large. The type of Googles architects, engineers would use to profile the landscape, the structures that would come to existence before those even came to existence. So this is the type of crime we're talking about. I do want to thank this gentleman for a beautiful interview he gave me. I really hope we will meet again. He is from Žižovo Selo. That was really, really helpful. That's what they would do. They would profile structures that already existed, and if those somehow did fulfill basic requirements of the future projects in development, let's just say in the area where I live here in the Novo Mesto, then they would invest in considerable amount of bestiality in it, lynching, torture, severe torture, to convince me that stuff already existed whenever or whatever. They did the same shit with the shoes. They were using the shoes that nowhere near came to existence yet, not only for the hiking but also inside of our house, to convince on a crazy stuff that due to amount of torture, I feel would almost convince any fucking elephant, regardless how resistant you are, especially if investigating crime into something that did not exist, that existed, and so on. This is Slovenia, a bestiality that developed itself from post-World War II mental illness. The times where Slovenian butchers mercilessly slaughtered over 120,000 people in this little Slovenia, dumped them inside of the caves, at times cemented them alive inside of the caves so they could die inside, created rivers of bones out of people that included children, innocent women that had absolutely nothing to do with World War II issues other than being related to their husbands, brothers, fathers, whatever, and have taken absolutely zero responsibility for it, have instead used this mental illness to fortify the system through the terror, through the death, by further imprisoning people for just questioning fate of their relatives, killing people through the psychiatric hospitals, military service, imprisoning them in even what used to be known in Yugoslavia, the so-called Goli Otok, the mental illness to which Eastern European communists have aligned themselves to as the one and only solution to the future of this nation and of other nations across the Europe. That's what this is all about. That's why it's so brutal, so bestial, without any responsibility, so bloodthirsty. This is who is running this show. The next, I present you with the audio. This gentleman absolutely recognized the existence of this case. In the next video, what I will do is I will have translated entire audio. In this one, I'm not going to do it. I will do this in a next video. I think it's fair to say, first to explain what this audio is all about, why this audio, matching future projects before with locations abroad, matching future projects with locations abroad before those projects even came to realization right here in the area where I live at. This was a lot of that stuff that went on with the psychiatrist Peter Kapsch. From road signs, from detours, from the road regulations. I told you about what happened with the right turn issue, for which 120 euros penalty was issued to me at the semaphore in Žabjevas and so on, in front of Eurospin store. These are not people, these are animals. I don't have anything else to say. Enjoy the audio if you understand Slovenian. If you don't understand Slovenian, you're going to have to wait a little bit more so that I will get this audio translated for you. The audio was recorded on December the 26th, 2025. Today, however, when I publish this audio and everything, is March the 30th, 2025. As a matter of fact, I'm going to let the audio first. And I think the explanation about this audio was so good that I should just, you know what, I'm going to reserve this to go separately, and I'm going to put the audio separately. So there are going to be two things. They're not going to be mixed with one another, so that you can get impression about this stuff. You can get the audio separately also, and then what I will do is I will also translate this audio. It's a big stuff, because a gentleman totally gave me a green light on what I stated, on this type of scumbaggery, which goes completely in line with all other stuff that police was doing to me. So I really want to thank him for this meeting, for his input. he did recognize Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan, acknowledge the two as his personal friends. This gentleman was a product tester. He was involved in a product tester. He told me during MK Ultra, I wish that you would even recall the watch, the Galaxy, beautiful Galaxy watch, whatever Samsung watch, smartwatch. I did not that I would not recall one, I did not want to push any further, but he was so generous, really so generous. He was just straightforward and generous. So I do want to thank him for this interview he gave me. Well, you listened December the 26th, 2024. Remember, today is March 30, 2025. They gotta say, why didn't you release this earlier? Yeah, I have my reasons why. Because everything is timed, everything is the way it's supposed to be. This gentleman did travel with the police, with the ultra-violent Stefanich, with the ultra-violent Jurcic, with the ultra-violent Zajcik, with ultra-violent other criminals from Novo Mesto police station, investigators, cops, and the psychiatric staff from Ljubljana Polje, but not very often. He would just go to see it, here and seldomly there. Being from the area where this project was to take place, that's exactly what he had done it. He did not always participate. Seldomly he would participate this lynching, this crime, this garbage with these animals from Ljubljana would so proudly engaged in. I find it interesting because this case is real with the facts, proofs about one, and online it's all about royals, Illuminatis, and all kinds of stuff going on, doing is a lot of, I feel it's a myth about how, I don't know, they eat children, they have rituals and stuff like this. Why nobody is talking about the communists doing this? Because it's exactly communists that are the most bloodthirsty hyenas on this planet. That's my question about it. Not all of them, but Eastern European garbage scum. It's not people. It's something else. Why nobody is talking about these animals we have here in Slovenia, these Eastern Europeans, Russians, doing the stuff like this? I know there's a lot of bad stuff that goes on in the US and across the Western Europe and so on that affected me personally in the worst way possible. And they do share responsibility for crime against me in Slovenia. But still, I don't understand why nobody is talking about these animals from here. The whole thing exists, it looks like is, they're completely clean. And if you go to the internet, you would only find information about them. What actually really angered me before I started to do my stuff, investigate my stuff, because I couldn't affiliate myself to anybody. Now the people throughout the Eastern Europe can affiliate to me. They have a ground, they have the reason. If something is happening, you're not alone. You can say he too, or you can say me too, whatever. Before you didn't have anything. Before this you didn't have anything. I'm a pioneer in this field. I'm the one who opened you all the roads to this, your ability to point at those that can be seen absolutely anywhere in the internet, but have murdered more people than you possibly can imagine is possible, and have continued to kill their people, govern nations literally through the paranoia, through the schizophrenia, demanding from people to see things in other people, including in their family members, that nowhere fucking near existed. so they could get them killed, and if they would not want to see things in them, so they could get them also killed. It's time to hold this Slovenia responsible.